This is the national flag of Tibet. And yesterday at the United Nations, I tried to take a picture with this in front of the other flags that are raised. And the security guard confiscated mine. I felt very good. For the first time, United Nations has a Tibetan flag. And the head over there must be wondering, will China scold me having a Tibetan national flag? And this guy whose flag is not coming here to take it away. So United Nations today, this morning, is a little confused. This flag was first created in 1916, in the middle of First World War, when half of the world were not independent. They were under foreign occupation. But I always believe that there is another way. It doesn't have to be like this. We don't have to be enemies. We don't have to kill each other. We don't have to hate each other. You know, many years ago, I got imprisoned in Tibet. And when I was in prison, I felt that there was no hope for me. Because what happens in prison in Tibet is the Chinese security, they cut all relationships that you have with the outside world. There is no access to your lawyer. There's no sense of schedule that is happening. They will not tell you what's going to happen, when is the next hearing, when they would do the interrogation. And even earlier, I was beaten. I was blindfolded, beaten, tortured, denied food, denied sleep, in order to what they call break the person. At the time, there was only one thing that I could think about, and that was a basic survival as an individual. My Buddhist upbringing, the Tibetan culture, gave me this inner strength that the real force is not the one who is torturing from outside, the one that is within you, where you believe that there is a higher purpose you are dedicating your life to. And for that, you need to empower yourself. And that empowerment is not coming from your anger or hatred or desire to revenge. No, nothing like that. In fact, sympathize with the enemy who is undergoing a period of weakness, being angry, hating you, greedy you over your wealth. Friends, I always believe that there is another way. It doesn't have to be like this. We don't have to be enemies. We don't have to kill each other. When China first invaded Tibet in 1949, just after the end of the Second World War, just after the beginning of United Nations, when most of the countries were at that time just beginning to become free and independent, that was the time when China invaded Tibet, and they killed thousands and thousands and thousands. But internationally, people were mostly not aware, and those who were siding with China. And China's military, economic, political power continued to rise to a point that today China is now aiming to replace United States as the boss in the world. But I always believe that there has to be another way. It cannot go on like this. China's occupation of Tibet was also happening at the same time occupation of East Turkestan. My friend Rushan will speak about it. It happened with the occupation of southern Mongolia. I wish there is a speaker from southern Mongolia also. It happened with invasion of Manchuria. And Manchuria, Southern Mongolia, East Turkestan, Tibet put together make 60% of China's 9.6 million square kilometer of land. Friends, 60% of today's China's land mass is occupied country. It's based on the same model of former Soviet Union. All nationalities clubbed together and formed a country. That's the model of today's China. But most importantly, I'm not worried about the Tibetan people. I'm worried about the Chinese who are under their own government, dictatorial government, and they are suffering there. They have no freedom. They have no democracy. You see, today China is the biggest dictatorship in the world with 1.4 billion population. And sadly, internationally, governments support China. Because many of them think that we support China because they have business interests. But I always believe that there has to be another way. It cannot go on like this. Dictators supporting dictators, and then speaking peace at the United Nations, but internally working only to suppress more human beings, torture people, and kill them. There has to be another way. I believe that as an activist myself for human rights, for freedom, our solidarity is the way forward. Our solidarity can empower us because we understand each other's pain. We understand each other's suffering. And one of the things that I bring forward as a Tibetan, do not suffer. Do not suffer. Take this as a pride to work for the freedom and human rights and believe that this is the right thing to do and find joy in this. I will tell you what is called the enemy will then start to feel insecure. They will feel, my God, we are losing. And therefore, I want to send this clear message to China. China, we are not afraid of you. You are just so funny. You think your weapons and political power and all that, whatever you're doing in Tibet, mining, bombing mountains and mountains and taking away lithium, gold, copper, and feeding cheap made in China production and then selling it to the rest of the world, that's not a model for you. It's not going to give you any happiness. In fact, your own people are ready to rise for another revolution. My message to you, China, your misadventure in empire building is a great source of suffering to your own people and in extension to the people of the occupied country. And now in search of natural resources, you are doing that in Asia, Africa, South America, and around the world. And the blue monster you are rising into, it is not in the interest of peace in the world. Now is the time for China to reflect and bring genuine peace and happiness to your own people and people around the world. My time is coming to an end. Towards the end, I want to express my gratitude to Switzerland because this is one country who had accepted Tibetan refugees in 1960 when Switzerland was not even connected to Tibet. And my most humble gratitude is to India, who is hosting His Holiness the Dalai Lama and 100,000 Tibetan refugees in India. India gave us hope that we will be free and independent. And I believe in this. We will be free and independent, and peace will once again rise. China will only be our neighbor. Thank you.